So yes, this is the second part of the webinar. We split it into two. So if you haven't watched the first one, just go ahead and watch it. In this part, we're just going to cover the career opportunities and the actual career paths that somebody can follow and actually executable steps that I would recommend and I personally took to get a good in AI. So I'll recommend it for anyone. So yeah, but if you haven't watched the first bit where we explain about what AI is and the trends in AI and the landscape on a macro scale, just go over the YouTube channel and you can find it there. So yeah, let's get right into it, guys.
The nitty gritties and see what we can do and how we can go around it. So the three pillars of the AI career, as I have noticed as an AI engineer, there are three sectors, not three sectors. There are three areas that I have established clearly. One is the builders, the other ones are the AI teachers and advocates, and uh, the other one is the AI enablers. The builders are people who develop AI systems. You can also think of them as the AI developers. So they're the people who basically get down and dirty with AI. They actually now get their hands deep in the trenches to actually develop a new AI algorithm. They push the boundaries. They take this AI and actually build a solution with it and make something that is actually useful to use. So think of them as a builder. We get deeper into those kind of people and how to get into that space. And you also have the AI teachers and advocates. So these are people who communicate AI, teach AI, and promote AI. So basically, they keep the AI conversation going. Of late, you've been hearing about AI. Basically, these are people who are talking about AI. It's like they're not just talking about it because, okay, one, yes, they're very much enthusiastic about it, but two, it's also because honestly, it's their job, or even if they know it's their job, they're kind of also advocating about AI and keeping the conversation going and teaching the masses about AI so that they can learn and use AI because not everyone knows about AI. Like for the people who have joined in this call, last time I checked, it was probably over 50. Not everyone, you might find that only for the few of us who know AI, the 50 of us, you might find there's probably 100,000 people who don't really very much understand AI. So it's probably the duty of some of us to get out there and start talking about AI and teaching AI to the common person. The last bit is the AI enablers. These are people who create conducive environments to develop AI solutions. These include policy makers, innovators, business leaders. So basically, these are people who have an idea of what they want and they kind of create the environment. They are not going to speak about it too much. They are not the people developing it, but they can create an environment where the builders can work and the teachers can teach and AI can be developed. So let's get into AI building. For some of the people in this audience, AI building will make sense for them. So I'll just go over it, what it's about and how to get into it. And then for all the other tracks, and then you'll see what works for you. And then we can hopefully that can cover a good sense of how to navigate the landscape, given what you want to do. So for the builders, there's two tracks. There's a research track and there's an applied AI track. So let's go over the research track. So these are the people who actually build the AI models. Like when you hear ChatGPT is released, the actual model that was developed, the actual thing that is working, forget what you see as the interface. The actual thing that is seated somewhere in a machine that is seated on like 20 machines running concurrently that you hear is eating so much power and all that. That algorithm is developed by AI builders. Imagine them as the research track. They're kind of in the research track. So their role is to develop new models, improve existing algorithms, publish research papers, create novel AI applications, and advertise the field theoretically. Okay, not advertise, advance the field, like really push the field to that direction. So these are people who sit down, worry about the problem, how do we make ChatGPT better? How do we create, so kind of like for us, Ishara, how do we enable for sign language translation? And that's kind of my job. So I sit down and I hammer the problem, I hammer my head against the problem repeatedly till God gives me an idea. And their main roles are basically like the titles that they kind of go by a lot is uh, research, no, research scientist, an AI researcher, algorithm developer, PhD candidate, and research engineer. So basically, the titles can vary or they can change, but you kind of know exactly what they're doing in the field of AI. And to get started in this field, you kind of have to have a strong math background, deep AI ML theoretical knowledge, and have the ability to implement research papers and contribute to open source models, alafu building research, building research reproduction skills. So basically what that is basically, this is basically how can you get space. Of course, this space also not there, but it requires so much time to get into it. You can't just start today and after 3 months count yourself as an AI researcher. You kind of have to have accomplished so much, and there's a reason why most of the people who are actually AI researchers have kind of taken so much time, because there's so much technical things to grasp. But that is not the only track that exists. There are other tracks that are fairly simple and fairly quick to get into in AI, as alluded in the other slide. But some of the people who are doing really well in this track, if you're interested in it and want to get into it, I would advise for any person who is still in campus and is developing, has a strong interest in math, and is already a fairly okay developer. I think this is a track you can consider taking in, and trust me, it will pay you off by the time you're graduating. Like if you harness the skills ahead of time, by the time you're graduating, you kind of have something really well established. Amazing people in this field is Andre Kapathe, and Ilya. So these are people I'll advise you to go and research on about. They already have content out there and things they are doing. Andre Kapathe was an amazing. He worked for OpenAI. He also worked for Tesla. These amazing things. Ilya is the person who actually developed the model that runs ChatGPT. He came up with that idea and made it run, and then eventually they kept improving it till what we kind of know now as ChatGPT. So these are really great people, pioneers in their field. You can look into them. They'll probably have YouTube videos, YouTube interviews where they do teach this content. So if you're interested in taking this track, listen to them as frequently as possible, and you kind of get a sense of what they talk about, and how they go approach about things. You can get a good sense and feel of that market. Okay, back up review. Let me take a break for that moment and then just come back to the group and see how people are doing. So if you're doing well so far, please give me a thumbs up so that I can see. I see a raised hand. If you have a question, please drop it in the chat, but just give me a thumbs up. I just want a thumbs up to see if everyone is okay. I will have a session for questions. Just let me finish this slide. I'm remaining only 15 minutes and then we're done. So yeah, thank you. I think everyone is fairly okay. Yes. So that is the research. Those are the builder research track, and then there's the builder applied AI track, and that's where kind of I reside in very much so. As much as I also build AI models, I can tell you I reside more in this track than that track. I kind of double between multiple roles in the AI field. Basically, these are people who take AI solutions and implement it to the real world problem. So they take what um, Andrew Kapathe and Ilya have made and now try to make it into a system that people can use. So after you made the ChatGPT model, or if after you've trained the transformer and you've trained it with the ability to translate text to English, and or after, okay, let's use Ishara. After we train this model that can capture sign language and translate it, how do we put it into a system that can actually now make sense to a person? So the user interface that you guys saw was developed by people in the AI track of AI. So most of Ishara software developers are in the AI track. They know the model, and they know how to take that model, integrate it so that people can use it in their day-to-day application. So that includes the use interfaces of things like ChatGPT, the interfaces of Ishara, the interfaces of self-driving cars, stuff like that. Because if a car is self-driving, you probably don't have to touch the steering as much. How are you going to conduct with it? And for the people who are also here, just a quick thing that came into my mind. People who are here and they are UI UX developers, due to AI, there's a need to rethink how the user interface experience is going to be. So that's a good avenue for even UI UX developers to start thinking and start experimenting. If I'm going to be talking to my phone 24/7, do I really need to have a screen? Questions like that. So there's a need to start playing around with applications. If I'm going to be, if I realize talking to my phone is so amazing, do I need to have a keypad? So things like that. There's need to experiment and figure all these things out. But let me go over this track really quick. So there's the data scientists, there are the AI engineers, the data engineers, and the AI application developer. All of these names can change, but I just want you to note the similarities in the actual roles that these people do. So a data scientist analyzes the pattern in the data, builds predictive models, creates data visualization, extracts data insights, and solves business problems with them. So basically, these are people who you have much data, so much data maybe in your business, you can give them and then you tell them, I want, okay, let's use a good example. Safaricom gives these people data and then Safaricom determines and tells them now which user should I target this kind of ads and which user should I target this kind of bundles offer? Who can I give out a loan? Who can I not give out a loan? Who can I bring to Mshwari? Who can I not loan through Mshwari? All that stuff. That's analyzed better data scientists, machine learning engineers. Some of these roles crisscross very much, but I hope you get the idea. So they build and deploy AI models, create ML pipelines, obtain model performance, handle ML infrastructure, and implement ML ops. So basically, once the data has been curated and it's ready, these people are the person who like now take that data and actually deploy the model, or after it's been trained, they actually now host it online and create a pipeline. So a pipeline is like we don't have to keep on repeatedly every single time now cleaning the data because machine learning has a process, a life cycle process, which is beyond the scope of this webinar. This is just like a really gentle intro. This is beyond but that life process doesn't have to every single time have humans inside. We can allow for an automated process that's developed by the machine learning engineers. The data engineers also do a similar process, but heavily around data. So they don't deal, the machine learning engineers deal heavily with the model. The data engineers deal heavily with the data bit of it, versioning the data, ensuring the data quality is really high, data architecture, just dealing heavily with the data of information. And in this world, data is key and data is a lot. AI applications for developers. So these are people who the AI system has been developed, it's been deployed. How do we put it now into a mobile app? How do we put it into an actual interface that normal people can use? Integrate AI services, they build AI powered applications, they create user interfaces for AI, they handle AI API integrations, and they deploy AI features. And these are things you probably have heard of or have interacted with. So let me give you an if you're interested in this builder track, the most logical pathway, and I actually follow this pathway personally when I decided I want to take AI seriously. I was always doing it as a joke, but I decided I want to take this thing seriously. And I crafted this pathway. Just one moment. Yeah, so I crafted this pathway and it has worked for me. So I'm handing you something that proven if it has worked for me, I'm very sure it will work for you and it has given me results. Confidence can give results. Basically, you need to understand Python programming. You need to go through a fundamental stage where you understand the early steps of AI development. So that includes programming, data structures, basic statistics, and Git versioning and basic ML concepts. For most of the developers in this call, this is a stage you probably have covered or you are always covering in your classes. So that stage, I wouldn't say you need so much time in unless you kind of want to redo it, but you probably are already average to good at that level. And then there's the core stage area where now you're no longer learning Python, you're learning fundamental AI concepts. So here you've learned AI, machine learning concepts, you learn deep learning basics, data processing, data modeling, data versioning, just basically how to deal with data in this space. There is lots of material to cover, but it does take around 4 to 6 months. Okay, for me, it took me around 3 months, but I think that's the ideal rate because there's so much to cover and not everything makes sense the moment you look at it. But if you keep on, you might read something today and then read something 2 weeks later and then connect with that thing you read that 2 weeks ago, everything. So that's why it kind of takes time to get the sense of everything there. Then eventually, after getting the core skills of AI itself, you kind of now specialize into a role that you want. So if you're interested in natural language processing, focus on that. If you're interested in computer vision, focus on that. Or qualitative models, focus on that. Also feel free to play around, but just pick an area and develop on that area, or just try to go deep on that area before going wide. So that's kind of what I mean by that. And then pick a framework and learn it really well. So there's the PyTorch framework, and there's the TensorFlow framework, and there's the Hugging Face framework. I'll advise you to learn kind of everything, but I started off with TensorFlow and then eventually got to PyTorch. I realized PyTorch is way better than TensorFlow, especially the deeper you go, the more complicated the models. But TensorFlow is a better start. And Hugging Face models is maybe you don't want even to learn how to train models, but you kind of want to learn how to use models. Hugging Face is a good place. So think of the hierarchy like this: learn first Hugging Face models, then you can learn TensorFlow, TensorFlow implementations, and then you can learn PyTorch should you find the need. Most people don't find the need to get PyTorch because TensorFlow and Hugging Face can pretty much handle most of the things for you. Practice deployment of these models and practice scale and optimization of these models. And then practice special tools. Special tools include libraries such as Crew AI. Crew AI helps creating those agents that I was talking about. That agent that I can book a hotel from Rwanda, a Rwanda hotel from here. It will pay the bills and everything and just send me an email to tell me everything is done. LangChain is also an amazing tool that helps you integrate AI into your code without having to worry so much about how the AI works. So if you're actually a developer, please look into LangChain. Vector databases is how AI stores information. So we're moving away from normal traditional databases into this thing we call vector databases. So learn that tool if you can. Then the last thing is Docker, which is it's a deployment mechanism, just a good way to kind of know how to deploy applications. Now, a note I would give people on this track particularly. Always practice to use open source solutions, low code or no code AI tools to speed up your development time and understanding. So usually as developers, we kind of want to code everything ourselves. We don't want to use any low code or no code solutions or open source things. We want to do everything ourselves. That's good. But in this field of AI, things are moving so fast. You don't have the time to learn everything. And if by the time you learn everything, the industry will have moved so much that you now have to play catch up. Don't do that. If there's an open source solution that does what you want, take it and learn that open source solution. If there's a no code or low code solution, basically these are tools that you have to code very little to pull off what you want, and they very much exist and they work really well. Learn that tool, learn how to use it, learn how to implement it, and if that tool can be deployed without you ever having to code, then practice to use that tool, because people out here don't want to know how you develop that model. They just want to see it work. And if you used a low code tool or you sat down and developed it yourself, doesn't really matter as long as it works. So I will tell you prioritize the low code, no code solution. Unless you actually find there's no actually low code, no code way, then should you have to hustle to figure out how the model was developed, how to retrain it, and all these processes. But most of the time, this most of the time somebody has already done it and has packaged it really well and is willing to offer it for free or for at a very minimal price. So if you can pay the price, pay it. If you can use it for free, use it. Personal experience, I wish I learned that way earlier. I'm actually just leveraging those tools this time, but I wish I learned that way earlier. Okay, so for the teachers, this is very simple. People who are interested in teaching, we already said these people educate the public on AI and how to leverage AI. So it's really easy. Their role is to bridge the gap between the AI technology and the AI and the users. They demystify AI concepts, kind of what I'm doing now, that kind of teaching. They drive AI response and AI adoption. So as you have seen, I'm probably pushing for you guys to learn certain AI tools. In a way, I am teaching or advocating for AI to you guys. Building AI literacy in community. Exactly what we're kind of happy. Basically, this is kind of what normal AI teachers and advocates do. Shape public understanding and perception. Exactly. A good place to start is technical writing, and I know here we have technical writers. A good place to start is develop technical writing, community education, and running workshops, public speaking in events, content creating that can be blog, YouTube videos, anyway, really, and then corporate training. So that's something also as Ishara we do. If you can walk up to a company and tell them, okay, you're probably not using AI, but I can teach you how to use GPT. I can teach you how to do these things. So basically, you're an AI advocate, and a space exists there. Just to mention that also the earlier track also has money. So this track also has money, and it's the one of the lowest hanging fruit because probably most people here have a good sense of using AI, and we find our parents don't know how to use these things. If you find the right person to teach, if they're willing to pay for it, well and good. You are teaching them AI. The AI field is growing. You get something from it. They get value from it. Everyone wins. How to get started in this field? Have a strong foundation in AI basics. So in this uh, deployment track, you don't need to get to the specialization stage. You just have to have a good understanding of the core skills stage. So basically, just have a good understanding of what AI is, how it's doing. You don't even have to know the math. You just have to have an understanding of what it is or what you want to talk about is, so that you're not lying to people or they don't detect a lie in you. Then practice explaining complicated concepts simply, kind of what you're doing. Start a YouTube channel, start a YouTube channel or a blog or a way to track your content. And then join local tech communities. contribute to AI documentation. So that's that. And lastly are the enablers. So the enablers, these are people who actually enable AI. And some of these enablers exist also here. So their role is to support and develop a conducive environment for AI. They include enablers include policymakers, business leaders, innovators. Um, so their role exists there. So kind of like me. So you probably notice somebody like me exists across all three of these verticals, and that's how I kind of got to know about them. So I just know what to leverage, when, and where. So I'm very much a startup founder that exists and a business leader. And if you're here in the innovation director, or you're a product manager, or you're a strategy consultant and all that, you're probably a person who can drive and enable AI in the space you're in. You're a policymaker, you can make laws that allow for AI, or you can make your company use or adopt the right AI policies. Yeah, investors can fund companies that use AI, and we have come across this and come across people who are willing to put their money where mouth is to get AI to be adopted to solve a particular problem. Because for some people, money is not the problem is the problem. If they have a problem, they want that problem solved. They are willing to pay for that thing to be solved. So um, there are investors and people who are willing to fund the development of such AI applications or AI ideas or AI tools to solve a particular problem. And yes, that's their role. They create a conducive environment. They provide funding. They build AI ecosystems. They drive adoption of AI, and they ensure responsible AI development. So where would you begin in this whole process? Just to kind of wind down and show you, for the people who are interested in AI in certain verticals, I might not tell you how AI will impact you there, but I can give you a framework of how you can leverage AI to make an impact in that thing that you think is important. So basically, understand what you enjoy doing. Not what you are passionate about doing, but what you enjoy doing. Passion is different, enjoyment is different. This is something that you don't mind doing. It's hard, but you don't mind doing, and when you're doing, at least you kind of feel okay doing it. So not everyone likes teaching, not everyone likes coding, not everyone likes strategizing. So what do you like doing? If you find that which you like doing, then follow the provided pathways. Do the beginner track if you have to do the beginner level, the intermediate level, and the advanced level. Some of these things you don't have to get to advanced. Some of these things you can actually skip, but guessing on what track you kind of feel you want to follow. I would say if you are in campus or you have enough time, free time on your hands, I will tell you follow the full track. Just take the whole 6+ months to get yourself really good in AI. If you're already out here and you're working in something, skip some of the tracks, do exactly what you need and do that. But already know what you're good at and know what you want. And then lastly, build experience. Work on projects, join open source communities, contribute on Kaggle, read and implement AI papers. Basically, show the world what you're doing. Do not live in a silo. As much as you do, post, ask for help, show people what you're doing, and all that stuff. That can allow you to move in that space. Decide what you want to do and decide in the space you want to create change in. So as Ishara, I kind of knew I want to create, I wanted to make impact in the AI, in the disability space, in the inclusivity space. So we kind of targeted that, and we developed. I learned most of my AI skills knowing that's what I wanted to do, and then everything else I just kind of picked up along the way. You can do the same if yours is in poetry, medicine, construction. Learn AI skills, particularly in that. If you want to be an educator in that space, a coder in that space, a strategist in that space, this is a framework you can follow. Suggested resources I can give you. This one particularly worked for me. A Udemy course called Machine Learning Zero to Mastery. It was really useful to me, gave me a really good understanding of what I did know. So that's kind of what in the intermediary track, I just bought a Udemy course instead. And then I did it for 3 months and I finished that. I was already a developer in campus, so I did developing for 3 years before that. Tutorials, there's lots of tutorials online. Way Negesa, I have a tutorial page, and that's even as Ishara, Ishara I developed content for developers to leverage and learn on AI as much as possible. And Ishara is also going to be offering paid courses, paid highly specialized content courses for AI in the future. So watch out for that. And there's also another YouTube channel I personally like. It's called Three Brown One Blue. Really amazing channel. I recommend if you're interested in AI, want to learn technical things about AI, check out that channel. They kind of will give you a good direction. It's not really mathy. They can cover the math, but they can cover you a good concept of how to get things going. AI books that I'll recommend you to read. I personally have a digital copy of this book, and we can provide it as after the webinar. It's called Machine Hands-on Machine Learning with Scikit-learn, Keras, and TensorFlow. So this is what I also studied. I combined the Udemy course and this book, and it gave me as much skills I needed to get into the AI space. And it was like hitting the ground running, because by the time I was in the AI space, nothing was new to me, nothing was foreign. I wasn't learning anything. The space was just implementing. My final thoughts and recaps. So let me do this in less than a minute. My advice for I've kind of given not small advices to everyone or to the categories or groups I have seen here. What I'll kind of just iterate is, yes, we've already established how we write code is changing for developers, how the future is looking like is going to change very much for people who are not even developers but are beginners and interested in AI. So the thing there is, please, if you're a student and you have enough time, this is my personal recommendation. And I think if I had the chance, I would tell every computer science school to do this. Learn how to train your own GPT model. Train a GPT model, see how it works. That process, you probably might never use it, but that process helps. It's kind of like learning how to code in C. You might never use it, but learning that process works. You don't even have to show anyone you did it. You just have to follow the process of training a GPT model. So the same way you had to learn C at some point, learn how to train a GPT model. If it works, if it doesn't work, whichever, but just learn that process. It's a very, very important thing, especially people who are looking to get technical, really, really technical with AI. Learn how to train one GPT model. Everything else is kind of, you can figure out the rest if you can figure out that. Leverage as much low code solutions as much as you can. If you're given a task to do, you don't have to develop the model yourself. So learning how to train a GPT model will give you how the whole architecture works. So that means you don't have to retrain everything. You can take anything that has already been made because you know how it has been made, you know how it works in the underlying code and everything, and you can leverage it for your own tasks. And yeah, be innovative. In any application you make, just try to add an AI element to it. Add it, even if it's a really cool or dumb or whichever, just try it, practice adding AI elements into your code so that you move from web to, no, so move from V2 software to V3 software. Yes. For the non-technical people, also focus on no code solutions. Do not worry about how these things are made. Just go online, and if you want to, if you are worried about AI in construction, go online and search the AI companies that are building solutions in construction. Look at how they're doing it. If they have no low or no code tools, try using it. So ChatGPT is a low and no code tool of AI. Try using it and try to implement it. Try to see what it can do there. Last and not least, identify a problem. Okay, for the people in the same course, identify a problem and try to solve that problem in the real world that uses AI. Whether that problem gives you money or not, it's important that you practice your skills and give it out there. Even if it affects accuracy, start somewhere, and then you can rise up as you go. For the people in the same case, those are non-developer people. Leverage, learn prompt engineering. This is basically how to engage with AI. Learn prompt engineering. For the developers in the room, I think, no, for the developers who don't have enough time, these are basically people who are not in schools, people who have graduated or they're out here and they want to get into AI. For your case, it's very simple. You probably have a good understanding of the market and you probably have a good understanding of coding. So you're not worrying about the coding bit. Learn how to use AI APIs as much as you can. Practice them. Practice AI libraries such as Hugging Face, LangChain, and those are things that were on the slides and they will be shared. Practice these things. Don't worry so much about the underlying models unless you have enough time and want to just do it and learn for it. But if you just want to get into AI really quick, sit down, watch a tutorial on how to integrate LangChain into your code so that you can connect with OpenAI models or Llama Index models or something. Learn that, or how to add maybe facial recognition feature in your code, or a voice text to speech model in your code. Learn a tool that helps you do that without having to worry about how the model works. So those are the names: Hugging Face, Llama Index, OpenAI APIs, stuff like that. Just learn that for those are the developers in the room. And lastly, yes, as much as you do all this, teach, speak, preach. Yeah, only that's the last thing I kind of tell you guys. Preach it as much as possible. Everything you learn, teach it to another person, show to another person, and all that. It will solidify these things to you. And I think I am done. I might have gone slightly over my designated time, but I hope that was enough and I've covered some of the questions. If I haven't covered, at least I've given you a roadmap to what you can do to answer your own question or the field particularly you want to get AI to get into with AI. Thank you for listening. So my name was Gesa Satema, and I would like to return it back to the one moment. I'd like to return it back to the host of the event. That's Noan and Nana.